Good evening. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has agreed to loan Seychelles $107 million to support the economy, but there are conditions with this loan. In order to reduce the amount of public debt, which reached its highest level in 2020, government has agreed to implement a series of reforms. These include a freeze in new posts and salary increases for public sector employees, the review of retirement benefits, which might increase the retirement age to 65 years old, and modernizing the tax system. The Finance Minister, Nadi Hassan, who also presented the reforms to the National Assembly this afternoon, has called for national unity in the implementation of these reforms.
The situation of the economy and government finances were in a really bad shape, and while things have stabilized, but we still have an issue with the debt sustainability. So the program is intended to put the country back on a pathway of debt sustainability in the medium to long term. I would like to make a call for national unity. There needs to be everybody needs to play their role in the reform that we are doing, because this is a reform that not only impacts on us today, but its effects will be the generation coming up, and it's our duty to help ensure that they inherit an economy that is sustainable and a country that is better.
The chief of the IMF mission to Seychelles, Boriana Yoncheva, says that before the COVID-19 pandemic, the economy was doing well. But in view of the reduction in tourism and the increase in public debt, reforms must be undertaken to put the economy back on track.
And I want to underline how important it is for us to recognize that before the COVID, you were doing so well. Economy was growing, reforms were putting in place, and the country had reached a policy of surpluses and debt reduction. Now, during 2020, the GDP contracted by about 13% that year, and the government took some exceptional measures, lockdowns, but also support to households and firms. Those measures helped protect livelihoods, but had a significant cost. At the end of 2020, debt to GDP rose to about 100%. And that is a level which becomes dangerous enough where risks to sustainability are high. And so there are very good news, and on the real sector side, we were impressed by how the government implemented the COVID response, and Seychelles has been leading the world in vaccination. It's in vaccination program, which allowed the reopening of the country, and we saw tourists come back. I mean, it seems obvious now, but it wasn't obvious in February. No one knew what would happen, right? I mean, so this is it's very important to see that this is something that we see as a very positive outlook. The crisis is here. The crisis is still here, and we are probably at the bottom of it, but the perspective looks much better. Thanks to the vaccinations, thanks to the measure taken, and the reopening of the economy, on the economic perspective, we can see a much more positive outlook.
The National Assembly has approved a bill to regulate the commercial activities of endangered species. These are animal and plant species. These include giant turtles, coco de mer, sea cucumber, as well as certain species of sharks, among others. Seychelles had acceded to the International Convention on Trade in Endangered Species, CITES, in 1977. Since then, there has been administrative control put in place to enforce the requirements of CITES, but there has never been a regulation on the protection of endangered species. This is why that, according to CITES, Seychelles is not necessarily implementing the convention in its totality. The minister responsible for environment, Flavien Joubert, was in the National Assembly this morning to present a bill on the subject. We've come to the end of this news summary.